Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials.
Do you need a source of power if you're off-grid, either living off-grid or perhaps camping? What about if the mains electricity to your house is suddenly cut? Do you have a solution for keeping the lights on? Let's find out. So here's the boxes that arrived the other day. Really been itching to get inside these to see how everything is. So we'll do a little bit of an unbox in the new kitchen. So we've got our two boxes. First one I'll pop out of the way just to free up a bit of space, and we'll take a look at this one. So inside the box, very nicely packed, I have to say, plenty of protection in here. This is a folding solar panel. So let me just pop this box out of the way, and you can take a little look and see what's inside here. Actually quite nice material. It is allegedly weatherproof. There's a little pocket on this side that actually provides power outlet. I think it's an 8mm jack socket by the looks of it. There's also a little outlet here which has got two USB ports, and then also inside here there's a selection of different adapters so that you can essentially take any one of these, just lift them off, pop them onto that jack, and then you've got varying power outlet styles to plug into wherever you want to plug it into. So that's very nice, but there is a flaw in the plan with this, and we'll come to that shortly. So that's the side pocket. It's like a kind of a briefcase type affair. It's got two of these press clips, little buckles to release, which then allows you to unfold the panel, which, as you can see, is enormous. Given that it's only 100 watts, so each of these is 25 watts, I'm still surprised at the actual size of it. So what I'll do, I'll quickly pop the camera off and run outside with this, and then you can see it actually erected and see what it looks like. Right, so this is the case. So just as I did before, fold it out. You can see on the back of each panel there's a little Velcro leg that pops out, and the idea of that is to provide support to stand up the panels. So we'll just pop these down, and there we go. So that's it. Then essentially you pop the solar power generator behind here and then plug into the power. So that's how it looks. But to be fair, it doesn't look too bad. Not quite at all. I must admit I am new to these plastic coated panels rather than the glass ones that I've got down at the cabin, but it doesn't look bad at all, to be fair. And of course it wraps up into a small package, which is always a bonus. I'll just give you a little 360 run around so you can see how it looks. And from the back. And considering we've got quite a bit of wind on today, it's not actually moving, which does surprise me. I thought it would. And then of course in the back, this little side pocket you can see there's actually a light on there which tells you that it's collecting power, and that would just pop out of this little outlet here into the solar generator. So on to the main event. Let's get inside what I really want, which is this Bluetti EB55 solar power generator, which, as you can see, comes well packaged. It's actually a box within a box. So I'll just drop this on the floor and then pull out what's in it. But again, you can see extremely well packaged. That's, I presume, the instructions. That's an accessories box by the look of it. And then inside this really well packaged box, we've got the main event. And there it is, in all its glory. I'll shuffle the camera around, try and get a better view so you can see exactly what I'm doing with this. So here we are. That's the instruction manual. Take a little look and see what's in there. Essentially that's a guarantee card, and then the user manual in a variety of different languages. But to be fair, it looks like a pretty readable manual. It's not one of those Chinese instructions that you get. Accessory box. Take a little look inside here. We've got the mains power charger, and then we've got a variety of different options here. We've got the mains power outlet plug for the charger, so that literally just plugs into there and then into the wall. In fact, if I take that off, we'll actually do that. I'll just turn it off for now. Fan's kicked on there. And then we've got two other cables and a little sort of strap to hold them all together. You've got a 12 volt DC cigarette lighter type adapter so you can charge this from your car. And then you've got a solar power DC charging cable as well. And these are the MC4 connectors that just plug straight into a standard solar panel. So again, we'll come to those in a short while. So spin this around. I'll see if I can get a little bit closer up. So on the side we've got air intake and outlet fan for cooling the unit. Nice handle here, not too heavy. On the top you've got a wireless charging pad, so if you've got one of those Gucci telephones that can charge wirelessly, then you just literally drop it on the top of there. Control panel across the front, and then on the back is a built-in light So what have we actually got on the front ports? Let me just drag it a little bit closer for you. So we've got a selection of different ports. We've got the input ports, 2 of those. We've got a DC input from the solar panels. It's an XT60 connector there, into which your solar panel cable slots, or if you're powering from the 12-volt socket on your car, that just plugs in there. Or if you're going off mains power, then the mains power drops into this one. So that's the input ports. In terms of output, there are actually 3 different sets of outputs. You've got a DC port here, so you've got the normal cigarette adapter port, and then you've got 2 additional 12-volt outlets there, 10 amp outlets. All of these output ports have their own little power button, so as I switch that on, the light illuminates, as does the control panel. It's showing straight out of the box it's got 80% charge. It's gridded down here into percentages. So we've currently got 80% of battery capacity. We've got an input display and an output display in watts. So if we were putting power in, it would display in this top port or top display the amount of watts been put into the battery. And if we were taking power out, then the bottom one tells us how many watts of power are coming out of the unit. We've got a secondary set of ports down the bottom here for USBs. There's a 100 watt if you want to charge one of your laptops up. You can plug straight into there, and then you've got your normal 5-volt 3 amp. There are 4 USB port outlets there. And then the one that we're really interested in case of power cuts at the house, we've got 2 mains power 220-volt normal 3-pin plug outlet sockets there. So what I think we'll do right now, we'll just give it a quick test. I mean, in terms of charging, I'll use the mains power for now, just so you can see something pop on the display. Plug that into the port, flick on the switch, the fan's kicked in on the charging unit, and the battery display now is flashing to indicate charge. And then in terms of input, it's showing 203 watts coming in, 204, it's climbing steadily, 205. So we've got the display telling us how many watts are being powered into the unit through the input port, which, as I say, at the moment is a mains outlet. The display pops off after a few seconds just to save on battery consumption. If you want it back on again, just literally flick any of these buttons. So that's mains input. I'll just flick that off, and you can see the display has gone back to 0. Stopped charging, and it's showing it the original 80% that it came out of the box. In a second we'll pop out and have a look at the solar panel. But I just wanted to run through some of the specs on this, because it really is quite impressive for the size of the unit. It's an EB55, that's the brand and model number, Bluetti. The battery capacity is 537 watts. And it actually gives you, through an inbuilt mains inverter, it gives you the capacity to output 700 watts continuous power through these ports, and you can plug as many devices as you like into this. If you wanted to, you could have something running off a cigarette lighter, you could plug in 2 mains outlets, you could plug in 4 USBs. All of these ports will provide power at the same time, which is quite a bit of a benefit actually, knowing that you can plug in as many as you want in, as long of course as you don't exceed the 700 watts total output.
There is a surge capacity on this for items that you plug into the mains outlets. If they draw additional high peak power on startup, so things like heating elements or motors, it's got a 1400 watts, so double the 700 watt continuous output. You can actually surge at startup to 1400 watts. You can't run it at 1400 watts, clearly, because you've got a 700 watt max capacity for output, but it just copes with that additional demand, so it doesn't actually overload the power unit. As I say, there are 12 total port outlets, plus one on the top for wireless phone charging, so that gives you a total of 13 actual outputs and 2 input ports. One of the really cool things about this particular unit, most units on the market use just bog standard lithium batteries, like you would get in your laptop, for example. But this uses lithium phosphate battery, which is much more longer lasting, and more importantly, you can actually take all of the power drawn down out of the battery and then recharge it in full cycle 2,500 times. Now that's way more. When I was doing a bit of research on these, some of the other branded models, same size exactly, 537 or thereabouts watt hour capacity in the battery, 700 or thereabouts watts coming out of the unit, you could only go through 500 full recycles of the battery, and this is 2,500. So that was a major selling point for me. The fact that you had the surge on the mains outlet plugs up to 1400 watts, that was a bit of a selling point. The lithium phosphate battery was a selling point because it's going to last longer. But one of the biggest things, or the biggest reasons why I ended up going for this Bluetti, was that 2,500 full recycled charges. Now when it does that, the battery doesn't actually die after you've recycled 2,500 times. What happens is the total recharge capacity will drop from 100% to 80%. So you can still go and do 3,000, 3,500, 4,000 full recycles, but after 2,500, instead of going to 100% of battery capacity, you'll only get up to 80%. And that's the same with all of these types of units. The more that you discharge and recharge the batteries gradually over time and cycles, you are not going to be able to get back to that full 100% battery capacity. It will gradually over time drop. But the fact that you can do that 2,500 times before it will drop to 80% recharge capacity, that is a big plus. One final thing, I mentioned it earlier, let me just power up something. On the back of the unit, it's got this built-in light. Nice that that folds down flat because you can stack on top if you want, rather than, as lots of the units do have, they have a permanent handle, which means you can't stack on top. So the light, it's powered off again. Oh, there we go. So there are 3 modes on this. There's this SOS strobe effect. You've got first stage illumination, and then if you press it again, you've got a second stage, a brighter illumination. Then it goes back to its SOS and then off. So as you cycle through the buttons, you get 3 different types of light. A low level light, which actually is still very bright, a high level light, and then that SOS. So there we go. That's the actual unit. And I have to say, I'm really pleased with it. So I'll just quickly take this off, move the camera around, we'll pop outside and we'll just have a little experiment with the solar input from that panel outside. So I've just popped outside, and this is the panel output port. On the Bluetti control panel on the front, you've got these 2 inputs. This one is your standard
12 volt to 28 volt 8 amp input from a solar panel. This one that you use, the mains charger, it's actually still DC current. Again, this is instead of 12 to 28 volt, this is 23 to 28 volt. So if you select the appropriate connector from the selection you've got, this is the flaw in the plan with this, which I need to overcome, but you can plug it into the DC port and charge from there. But what I'd much rather do, because this can take up to 400 watts of input power, I could run a solar panel and a solar panel, have two, or have a solar panel and the AC to boost the or to speed up the charging and recycle time. So what I'm going to do is use this normal solar output, but not to this panel, because I need to get a converter to take that kind of input jack, which I don't actually have yet. So the plan is to get that, plug this into there, and then I can either run another panel off that one, or I can run the mains charger off that one. So there we have it. That's my new little toy, my Bluetti EB55. Portable solar power generator and my new fold-in panel. I am very, very tempted. I've seen a bit of a bargain on eBay. There are two what I would call standard glass covered fold-in solar panels, very, very similar to the ones you've seen down in the cabin. There are two of those available for just under £200 on eBay, and the beauty of this particular model is that on the back of the solar panel, I'll just pull this around and kind of show you. On here there's a single output port and a single output power cable. On the ones that I'm looking at on eBay, it actually has two, one on each side of the panel, and you can daisy chain them in parallel or series to join them together pretty much endlessly. So for the sake of this, I could get two of those 100 watt panels, daisy chain them together, and put 200 watts straight into that solar connector, and then obviously should put a DC charger or another panel if I want into that second port to get as close as I can to that 400 watts total input capacity, and that will dramatically reduce the full recharge time of this.
So there we are, that's the review of the Bluetti EB55 with solar panel and the various accessories that come with it. I will now pop this on charge and just pump it up to 100%. So if anybody is interested, and I'm not promoting any particular site when I tell you this, and I have no affiliate links or anything like that, I'm just literally telling you what I do or did, as I always do. So I bought this as a package, the EB55 with the 100 watt solar panel and all of the different accessories. I actually got that for £600 on eBay. Now these units themselves normally retail at about 500 to 550 just for the actual EB55 power generator without the panel. So the reason I went for it, A, it was the Bluetti, which is what I wanted, for all of the reasons that I explained as I went through the review, particularly that total recharge 2,500 times before you actually start reducing the capacity of the battery. That was a big selling point. Lithium phosphate battery, big selling point. Number of ports, wasn't that bothered. I don't need 12 or 13 with the wireless charger. In fact, my phone doesn't do wireless charging. That's how poverty stricken I am. My old phone's never heard of wireless charging. But I thought for the money, for £600, it was a bit of a bargain, which is why I ended up getting it. The downside, this solar panel doesn't come with one of these normal solar connectors on it. So that is a bit disappointing. It doesn't give you the capacity that you need on the input ports without this really. So I have ordered an adapter to overcome that. 100 watts is going to take quite a long time to recharge your battery, particularly if it's completely flat. If you just had that one panel, you'd be there all day, literally, trying to get it to recharge back up to full capacity. There probably wouldn't be enough sunlight hours in the day with just 100 watts. So the plan for me personally is to go onto that site on eBay that I mentioned when we were outside, and to get a couple of those 100 watt, and I'll daisy chain them. That'll give me full 200 watt, which is the max capacity on this input port through the solar. And then if I'm really struggling and I don't have enough sunlight, I can always use either the mains charger, a car charger. I could run this mains charger off my portable electric generator if I needed to. There are lots and lots of options for me, but the real key thing is, if you are going to be using this in anger during the power cut, as soon as that sun comes up, you want to be getting it charged back up to full capacity again, ready for night time. During the day, you can have it on charge and output at the same time. It's not going to affect the battery at all. If the battery is full, it'll just divert the power and dump it into whatever it is that you're running off that unit at the time. So really pleased with this. Can't wait to do a real life test of it and start running some appliances, mains appliances, and see just what I can and can't do with it. Bear in mind, 700 watts max output continuous running is not a lot. You're not going to be able to run big cookers, big American style fridge freezers. But frankly, I'm not interested in that. My priority really is, I've got a small freezer and a small fridge. If I can keep those running, that would be great. I've got a small portable sort of halogen lamp type cooker, which I think this can cope with. The power for the gas boiler in the house, because bear in mind guys, if you have an electric power outage, even though your gas is running, your boiler's not going to. So if we do have a power outage and I need to run the gas boiler, at least I'll be able to do that with this. So I'll do a bit of a test over the coming week or so. I'll probably come up with a list of power demand from different appliances so that you've got a bit of an idea and you can compare them with yours. And I'll do some real life testing, so I'll try running the fridge, the freezer, running a cooker, various different things, and I'll let you know in a future video how I get on with that. Anyway, that's it. That's the review done. Hope it was useful to you.
Well, that's it for this video. I hope there was something in there that was of interest to you. If you did like the video, please do click on the like button. Also feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so.
That's it for now.
As always, I welcome any comments, questions or suggestions you might have. Just feel free to leave them in the comments section below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.